Welcome to the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network.
All right, welcome to the Jeffers Brief Special Edition. Tonight we're going to be monitoring the State of the Union address and commenting as things come on. We're going to join Fox News as they broadcast it here on the web. If you want to call in and opine, our number is 605-475-4054. Again, area code 605-475-4054. Access code is 982-642. 982-642 is the access code, or you can get a hold of us on Skype, and you can catch us on Skype under, what is it? Haven't been in a while. Contra Radio Live. Contra Radio Live, you can join the conversation and join in the commenting as well. All right, right now we'll join them mid. All right, here we go.
Yeah, it does seem to me that what the president says tonight will turn out to be less. These speeches, you know, I mean, this is like the 43rd that I've covered in one way or another, and they rarely produce memorable moments for more than a few days. And I don't know that this will be any different. And
yeah, we'll come back to them. You know, it should be interesting to see. So, like I said, you can call us, you can get in on us, this conversation. Feel free to follow along if you wish, and comment as you see necessary. It's not a problem. Should be interesting, I think. Should be interesting. At least I think so. Nothing on Skype just yet, but we're ready to take... Let's see, nope, no callers yet. Okay. I did put this out on Trump Town and Gab and Facebook. And, of course, on MeWe.com. So, all that information is there. This will not be going to KYAH. This is going to be just a simple podcast. And so we hope to get people to get in there. All right, let's see where we're at. Hold on, we'll check in with them.
8 Eastern. Have a great night.
thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Tucker. We are now just minutes away from President Trump's State of the Union address. Always a big moment here in Washington, but for this president, this moment with a new Democrat-controlled House and with President Trump already looking ahead to 2020, it's a very big moment. Good evening. I'm Brett Baer.
Indeed it is. Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So the president is now in the Capitol building.
Now there's Justice Kavanaugh.
Ready to deliver the third address to Congress as president of the...
In case you didn't know, the Democrat women are all wearing white and what they call a whiteout, and it's to show support for women in the workplace. That's what they say it is. So when you see it, you know, if you're watching it, that's what it's about.
Pretty obviously, as you look at Brett Kavanaugh, the new Supreme Court justice there, as the Supreme Court sitting there next to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We're told President Trump will make this a unity theme in this first speech to a divided government.
Let's bring in our panel. Juan Williams, columnist with The Hill and co-host of The Five. Laura Ingraham, host of The Ingraham Angle.
Let's see. Let's see if RBG is there. See if the coffin dodger herself is there. They're showing the justices. Kagan, Gorsuch. Oh, now what? That figures. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know what's going on with that. That's kind of goofy. Come on, come on, come on. I don't know what happened to our feed. I don't know what's going on with our feed right now. I'm trying to get it back. Come on, come on. That figures. Rick Perry's been named the designated survivor for the State of the Union, for those that are just curious and wondering. Oh, come on. It appears that Fox is having a meltdown right now. Jeez, come on. Oh boy, that figures. Right when we need it, it doesn't go. Come on, come on. Jeez, just trying to get into this thing is becoming a real pain. Oh, we have to try to refresh it, trying to get it. Maybe a lot of people are trying to catch this now. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Let's take a moment to listen to the action down on the floor as we pause for the top of the hour here. President Trump is just minutes away, and our special coverage of tonight's State of the Union address continues in just a few moments.
All right, now we got it back. Finally got the feedback. You know, I still don't know why he feels it was necessary to actually do anything in terms of at the House of Representatives. He could have gone anywhere and done it. He could have submitted it in writing and just walked away, take away everything she wanted.
Live inside the House chamber, we're just moments away from President Trump and tonight's State of the Union address. Good evening again from Washington. I'm Brett Baer.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So any moment now, President Trump will be announced on the House floor with the familiar call of the Sergeant at Arms. He will make his way down the aisle, greeted by lawmakers. Everybody always sort of scrambling for that position to shake the president's hand. Republicans and Democrats on both sides of the aisle as he will move his way through the chamber in just a few moments.
Then he'll lay out this agenda, talk to lawmakers and to you, the American people, talking about what he's accomplished and what he wants to accomplish. As you look at the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo,
I would hope,
Chief White House Correspondent John Roberts is on the North Lawn with a quick.
You know, I would hope that if any of these guests that the liberals brought start mouthing off, I hope the Capitol Police tase them right where they stand in front of God and everybody. That's worth the admission alone. So let's see what happens here.
Citizens, not those from other countries. The president will also say that immigration really illuminates the divide between work.
You know, they showed the First Lady Melania Trump, super hot. What a refreshing vision for a First Lady as opposed to the last president. It's like comparing a Ferrari to a dump truck. So what it is up to you. Anyways, let's click it back up.
With Kim Jong-un of North Korea, February 27th and 28th, the location to the country to be Vietnam. We have not been told the city specifically, but we're being led to believe that will be Da Nang. The president will also say that great nations do not fight endless wars, a nod to what's going on in Afghanistan and his desire to pull out of there at some point, and his desire to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria. So it's a speech that encompasses a number of different themes. Some of them he hopes will bring the country together, but others by their very nature may keep the country apart. Brett and Martha?
Melania is looking absolutely gorgeous tonight. Absolutely gorgeous.
Looking on a different look, obviously, to this State of the Union with the new Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. She's been in that position before, but now she will be over the shoulder of President Donald Trump in a divided government. As you saw, Secretary of the Treasury Steve Mnuchin, he's been working on the China issue, the negotiations with China, and that will be a big event as we wait for the Sergeant at Arms, Paul Irving, to make his historic announcement.
Here we go. Starting now.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
The president's just walking down. Let's see who we got shaking hands. Well,
This is the moment, Martha, that he was hoping for, delayed by 1 week because of the government shutdown. But it's hard to look at the pomp and circumstance of this moment and not think that this is a big moment for any president every year.
And you think about the discussions that were had then. Should he do it in front of the Senate? Should he potentially do it at some other venue? And it kind of, you know, when you watch this, you realize that you want to wait the week. You want to do it the way it's supposed to be done, in front of a joint session of Congress, the members of the Supreme Court, the cabinet, really the large.
what the pundits are really saying is this. This is one of the few times any president can get his message out to the American people unfiltered, without interference of the mainstream media lapdogs. That's true. So that is why this is so important. And I hope the president, my president, your president, the president of the United States, gives Nancy Pelosi a stroke right then and there while she's sitting behind him. That would be great. Oh, well, that's just me.
Few of us were invited to a session with Nancy Pelosi on the record off camera this afternoon, and I asked her, had she thought at all, because it's going to be an interesting thing for the next hour or so. We're going to see the president speaking with Nancy Pelosi right over his left shoulder. I said, have you
got the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
She said, I haven't given any thought at all.
I just seen RBG there, the coffin dodger.
Said, I am going to accord him the respect
There's Bobby Rush dressed in white. Really?
President,
Get a spine, young man.
But I'm going to give respect to the
What else we have here? Speaker of the House is approaching up there. Approaching the podium. Let's follow, see what's going on.
You shouldn't be in the chamber.
Laura?
Well, I think this, again, boiling this 2 years down to a speech and forecasting forward, 400,000 manufacturing jobs, blue-collar wages rising for the first time in like 18 years at a median level. He's going to tout that this is an economy for all people, and we want to expand it, forging new political alliances, both on issues like trade and his non-interventionist foreign policy. There's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of meat in there that traditionally more left-leaning legislators would find attractive. So I think he's going to try to open that up tonight as well.
Juan, quickly.
Well, I think what's interesting, by the way, I just noticed on the walk down, he went pretty quickly. A lot of the people who typically are the hangers
Take
on.
their time.
Yeah, they weren't there today. A little different. I will say that Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, already said the State of the Union America is not what the president will say. We're in need of a repair job, and he's talked about the failing economy for the middle class, health care, chaos under Trump, foreign policy, uncertain.
Well, I just flashed the Supremes, and the coffin dodger is not there.
To try again to re-energize his base in the aftermath of the shutdown and the fact that his poll numbers have gone down.
You know, this is a challenge for Democrats, too, because there has to be some effort to get something done. It can't just be stepping up and saying, I'm opposed to Donald Trump, and they know that.
I think that's right. And I think that that's what you're going to see from Pelosi is the talk about infrastructure.
The 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States.
Yeah, there you go. Most excellent. Excellent choice.
And my fellow Americans, we meet tonight at a moment of unlimited potential. As we begin a new Congress, I stand here ready to work with you to achieve historic breakthroughs for all Americans. Millions of our fellow citizens are watching us now gathered in this great chamber, hoping that we will govern not as two parties, but as one nation. The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people. Many of us have campaigned on the same core promises to defend American jobs and demand fair trade for American workers, to rebuild and revitalize our nation's infrastructure, to reduce the price of health care and prescription drugs, to create an immigration system that is safe, lawful, modern, and secure, and to pursue a foreign policy that puts America's interest first. There is a new opportunity in American politics if only we have the courage together to seize it.
Now, right now, none of the Democrats are clapping for that. They just showed all the Democratic women in white. They look ridiculous.
Victory is not winning for our party. Victory is winning for our country.
And it looks like only a few Democrats are standing on that ovation. Big surprise there. There's Adam Schiff. He should be in federal prison.
Two important anniversaries that show us the majesty of America's mission and the power of American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade, the Allied liberation of Europe in World War II. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea to save our civilization from tyranny. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes. Private First Class Joseph Riley.
Yes, they're showing them now.
Staff Sergeant Irving Locker and Sergeant Herman Zaitchik.
All right, they're showing the three veterans from D-Day, elderly gentlemen. Outstanding. Outstanding.
Gentlemen, we salute you. In 2019, we also celebrate 50 years since brave young pilots flew 250,000 miles through space to plant the American flag on the face of the moon. Half a century later, we are joined by one of the Apollo 11 astronauts who planted that flag, Buzz Aldrin.
There's Buzz Aldrin throwing a salute to POTUS. An outstanding America.
Thank you, Buzz. This year, American astronauts will go back to space on American rockets.
Amen. There you go.
In the 20th century, America saved freedom, transformed science, redefined the middle class, and when you get down to it, there's nothing anywhere in the world that can compete with America.
Outstanding. That is true. Oh, even the Democrats are standing, amazingly enough.
Now we must
Of course,
step
not all of them.
boldly and bravely into the next chapter of this great American adventure. And we must create a new standard of living for the 21st century. An amazing quality of life for all of our citizens is within reach. We can make our communities safer, our families stronger, our culture richer, our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before.
Amen. Now, of course, don't see too many Democrats applauding or anything else.
But we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
Now, while the president is... Oh, there's Ocasio sitting there on her hands. She is such a loser. Whole bunch of the Democrat women in white. Half are standing
Together
clapping,
we
the other
can
half are sitting on their
break
hands.
Decades of political stalemate.
And while the president's speaking, it's like Nancy's back there reading the speech or something. That bug-eyed zombie. I hope she has a stroke tonight.
Promise of America's future. The decision is ours
Hey,
to
Banj.
make. We must
Dogs
choose
in here.
between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness.
Democrats are sitting on their hands. Republicans, of course, are standing ovation.
Over the last 2 years, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to confront problems neglected by leaders of both parties over many decades. In just over 2 years since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom, a boom that has rarely been seen before. There's been nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs, and importantly added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs, something which almost everyone said was impossible to do. But the fact is, we are just getting started.
Let's see.
Wages are rising at the fastest pace in decades and growing for blue-collar workers who I promised to fight for. They're growing faster than anyone else thought possible. Nearly 5 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps.
Yes. That's a good thing, in case you were wondering. Of course, the Democrats aren't clapping at all. They hate the idea. What? No dependence
the
on
US
government?
economy is growing almost twice as fast today as when I took office. And we are considered far and away the hottest economy anywhere in the world. Not even close.
All right. Sanders looks like he's trying to eat his pen.
Unemployment has reached the lowest rate in over half a century.
That is true. That is true. No, the Democrats hate this. They hate it.
African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have all reached their lowest levels ever recorded.
There you go. There it is. Democrats are just sitting on their hands because black America is no longer on the Democratic plantation.
Unemployment for Americans with disabilities has also reached an all-time low.
All right. Of course, Democrats sitting on their hands.
More people are working now than at any time in the history of our country. 157 million people at work.
There you go.
We passed a massive tax cut for working families and doubled the child tax credit.
That's a good thing.
We virtually ended the estate tax, or death tax, as it is often called, on small businesses, for ranches, and also for family farms.
That's important. And of course, Democrats are still sitting on their hands.
We eliminated the very unpopular Obamacare individual mandate penalty.
Yes. Pelosi is just sitting back there smiling. And of course, they're all sitting on their hands.
Access to life-saving cures. We passed, very importantly, right to try.
That's very good.
My administration has cut more regulations in a short period of time than any other administration during its entire tenure.
Oh, the bug-eyed zombie. She just can't get it through her head. She looks absolutely confused and dumbfounded.
Companies are coming back to our country in large numbers, thanks to our historic reductions in taxes and regulations.
That's important.
And we have unleashed a revolution in American energy. The United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere in the world.
There you go. That's why you're seeing the reduction. And of course, Democrats sitting on their hands. They hate it. No, Joe Manchin, Democrat senator from West Virginia, clapping. Right? He loves it.
And now, for the first time in 65 years, we are a net exporter of energy.
And Democrats sitting on their hands. They hate
After
it.
24 months of rapid progress, our economy is the envy of the world. Our military is the most powerful on earth by far. And America America is again winning each and every day.
That's right.
Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
And of course, the Democrats, once again, sitting on their hands. They hate this. They hate our country. They can't stand it. They hate success.
That sounds so good. Our country is vibrant and our economy is thriving like never before. On Friday, it was announced that we added another 304,000 jobs last month alone, almost double the number expected.
America is working. And the Democrats hate it. They're all sitting down. They can't stand it. They just hate success. Oh, make my skin crawl.
An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations.
Yes. Oh, the bug-eyed zombie. That's right, Schiff. They're showing Schiff. He's flushing red. You ought to be embarrassed.
If there is going to be
He's so
peace
slimy.
and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way. We must be united at home to defeat our adversaries abroad. This new era of cooperation can start with finally confirming the more than 300 highly qualified nominees who are still stuck in the Senate, in some cases years and years waiting. Not right.
He's right. And of course, the Democrats hate that.
The Senate has failed to act on these nominations, which is unfair to the nominees and very unfair to our country. Now is the time for bipartisan action. Believe it or not, we have already proven that that's possible. In the last Congress, both parties came together to pass unprecedented legislation to confront the opioid crisis, a sweeping new farm bill, historic VA reforms, and after 4 decades of rejection, we passed VA accountability so that we can finally terminate those who mistreat our wonderful veterans.
Absolutely correct.
And just weeks ago, both parties united for groundbreaking criminal justice reform. They said it couldn't be done.
Oh, the bug-eyed zombie got off her ass and decided to start clapping.
Last year, I heard through friends the story of Alice Johnson. I was deeply moved. In 1997, Alice was sentenced to life in prison as a first-time nonviolent drug offender. Over the next 22 years, she became a prison minister, inspiring others to choose a better path. She had a big impact on that prison population and far beyond. Alice's story underscores the disparities and unfairness that can exist in criminal sentencing and the need to remedy this total injustice. She served almost that 22 years and had expected to be in prison for the remainder of her life. In June, I commuted Alice's sentence. When I saw Alice's beautiful family greet her at the prison gates, hugging and kissing and crying and laughing, I knew I did something right. Alice is with us tonight, and she is a terrific woman. Terrific. Alice, please.
And amazingly, there are some Democrats still sitting on their hands because they don't want to give the president a win. Unbelievable.
Alice, thank you for reminding us that we always have the power to shape our own destiny. Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you very much. Inspired by stories like Alice's, my administration worked closely with members of both parties to sign the First Step Act into law. Big deal. It's a big deal. This legislation reformed sentencing laws that have wrongly and disproportionately harmed the African American community. The First Step Act gives nonviolent offenders the chance to re-enter society as productive, law-abiding citizens. Now, states across the country are following our lead. America is a nation that believes in redemption. We are also joined tonight by Matthew Charles from Tennessee. In 1996, at the age of 30, Matthew was sentenced to 35 years for selling drugs and related offenses. Over the next 2 decades, he completed more than 30 Bible studies, became a law clerk, and mentored many of his fellow inmates. Now Matthew is the very first person to be released from prison under the First Step Act. Matthew, please. Thank you, Matthew. Welcome home. Now, Republicans and Democrats must join forces again to confront an urgent national crisis. Congress has 10 days left to pass a bill that will fund our government, protect our homeland, and secure our very dangerous...
Oh, there goes the bug eyes. Boing.
Now is the time for Congress to show the world that America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business.
And needless to say, what do we got? That's right. Democrats hate it. They hate it. He said, he's talking about a wall. Oh, a wall. Get over yourselves. There's Kamala Harris shaking her head.
As
None of
we
the Democrats
speak,
sitting on their hands as
large,
usual.
organized caravans are on the march to the United States. We have just heard that Mexican cities, in order to remove the illegal immigrants from their communities, are getting trucks and buses to bring them up to our country in areas where there is little border protection. I have ordered another 3,750 troops to our southern border to prepare for this tremendous onslaught. This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. We have a moral duty to create an immigration system that protects the lives and jobs of our citizens. This includes our obligation to the millions of immigrants living here today who followed the rules and respected our laws. Legal immigrants enrich our nation and strengthen our society in countless ways.
And let me see. Democrats shaking their heads, sitting on their hands. The usual. I take that back. There's a handful that are actually
to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but they have to come in legally. Tonight I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border out of love and devotion to our fellow citizens and to our country. No issue better illustrates the divide between America's working class and America's political class than illegal immigration. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards.
Absolutely right. Including the bug-eyed zombie behind him. Oh, there's the America hater, Tlaib. Well, Democrats hate it. They're just sitting on their hands. They hate it.
Meanwhile, working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Reduced jobs, lower wages, overburdened schools, hospitals that are so crowded you can't get in, increased crime, and a depleted social safety net. Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel.
Yes, it is.
One
of course,
in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the long journey north. Smugglers use migrant children as human pawns to exploit our laws and gain access to our country. Human traffickers and sex traffickers take advantage of the wide open areas between our ports of entry to smuggle thousands of young girls and women into the United States and to sell them into prostitution and modern-day slavery. Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border and flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. The savage gang, MS-13, now operates in at least 20 different American states, and they almost all come through our southern border. Just yesterday, an MS-13 gang member was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City. We are removing these gang members by the thousands. But until we secure our border, they're going to keep streaming right back in. Year after year, countless Americans are murdered by criminal, illegal aliens. I've gotten to know many wonderful angel moms and dads and families. No one should ever have to suffer the horrible heartache that they have had to endure. Here tonight is Deborah Bissell. Just 3 weeks ago, Deborah's parents, Gerald and Sharon, were burglarized and shot to death in their Reno, Nevada home by an illegal alien. They were in their 80s and are survived by 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 20 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Also here tonight are Gerald and Sharon's granddaughter, Heather, and great-granddaughter, Madison. To Deborah, Heather, Madison, please stand. Few can understand your pain. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
Let's see if the Democrats go off their ass this time. Hard to tell. The bug-eyed zombies is clapping, so I guess the rest of them are too.
I will never forget, and I will fight for the memory of Gerald and Sharon, that it should never happen again. Not one more American life should be lost because our nation failed to control its very dangerous border. In the last 2 years, our brave ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 killings or murders. We are joined tonight by one of those law enforcement heroes, ICE Special Agent Elvin Hernandez. When Elvin When Elvin was a boy, he and his family legally immigrated to the United States from the Dominican Republic. At the age of 8, Elvin told his dad he wanted to become a special agent. Today, he leads investigations into the scourge of international sex trafficking. Elvin says that if I can make sure these young girls get their justice, I've really done my job. Thanks to his work and that of his incredible colleagues, more than 300 women and girls have been rescued from the horror of this terrible situation. And more than 1,500 sadistic traffickers have been put behind bars.
Come on, let's see the Democrats. No, Ocasio-Cortez is still sitting on her butt. Oh, what? I should get up now? Still not a punch, she just decided to stand. The hyphen should go to Venezuela.
We will always support the brave men and women of law enforcement. And I pledge to you tonight that I will never abolish our heroes from ICE. Thank you. My administration has sent to
Hey,
Congress
John, are you there?
a common sense
Yep, we're
proposal
listening to the
end
president
the
right now.
crisis on the southern border. It includes humanitarian
All right,
assistance,
cool. I'm going to be
more
right
law
now
enforcement,
temporarily mute.
drug
I'm driving home right now.
detection at our ports,
All right, bud.
closing loopholes that enable child smuggling, and plans for a new physical barrier or wall to secure the vast areas between our ports of entry. In the past, most of the people in this room voted for a wall, but the proper wall never got built. I will get it built.
Yes. Well, let's see what the Democrats are doing now. Oh, I have to tell you, you already know.
This is a smart, strategic, see-through steel barrier, not just a simple concrete wall. It will be deployed in the areas identified by the border agents as having the greatest need, and these agents will tell you where walls go up, illegal crossings go way, way down.
That's right. Remember, all a wall means is you can't cross here. That's all the wall means.
San Diego used to have the most illegal border crossings in our country. In response, a strong security wall was put in place. This powerful barrier almost completely ended illegal crossings. The border city of El Paso, Texas, used to have extremely high rates of violent crime, one of the highest in the entire country, and considered one of our nation's most dangerous cities. Now, immediately upon its building, with a powerful barrier in place, El Paso is one of the safest cities in our country. Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
That's right. And of course, yeah, you know as well as I do, no Democrat is applauding. They're just sitting on their hands.
So let's work together, compromise, and reach a deal that will truly make America safe. As we work to defend our people's safety.
They just showed Senator Schumer. He looks really creepy.
Continues at a rapid pace. No one has benefited more from our thriving economy than women, who have filled 58% of the newly created jobs last year.
Of course, none of the women in white who are supposed to be for women in the workplace, oh, they're just now starting to get up and, oh, please. Oh, how foolish are they?
You weren't supposed to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All Americans can be proud that we have more women in the workforce than ever before. Don't sit yet. You're going to like this. And exactly 1 century after Congress passed the constitutional amendment giving women the right to vote, we also have more women serving in Congress than at any time before.
Now the Democrats are joining in the chant. Except for the hyphen, she's not.
That's great. Very great. And congratulations. That's great. As part of our commitment to improving opportunity for women everywhere, this Thursday, we are launching the first ever government-wide initiative focused on economic empowerment for women in developing countries. To build on, thank you. To build on our incredible economic success, one priority is paramount: reversing decades of calamitous trade policies. So bad. We are now making it clear to China that after years of targeting our industries and stealing our intellectual property, the theft of American jobs and wealth has come to an end.
Let's look and see the Democrats. Nope, they're applauding. They like the idea too.
Therefore, we recently imposed tariffs on $250 billion of Chinese goods, and now our Treasury is receiving billions and billions of dollars. But I don't blame China for taking advantage of us. I blame our leaders and representatives for allowing this travesty to happen. I have great respect for President Xi, and we are now working on a new trade deal with China. But it must include real structural change to end unfair trade practices, reduce our chronic trade deficit, and protect American jobs.
Yes.
Another historic trade blunder was the catastrophe known as NAFTA. I have met the men and women of Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, New Hampshire, and many other states whose dreams were shattered by the signing of NAFTA. For years, politicians promised them they would renegotiate for a better deal, but no one ever tried until now. Our new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, the USMCA, will replace NAFTA and deliver for American workers like they haven't had delivered to for a long time. I hope you can pass the USMCA into law so that we can bring back our manufacturing jobs in even greater numbers, expand American agriculture, protect intellectual property, and ensure that more cars are proudly stamped with our 4 beautiful words: Made in the USA. Tonight, I am also asking you to pass the United States Reciprocal Trade Act so that if another country places an unfair tariff on an American product, we can charge them the exact same tariff on the exact same product that they sell to us.
That's fair. That's fair trade.
Both parties should be able to unite for a great rebuilding of America's crumbling infrastructure.
Oh yes, that's a job creator too. No, they're all standing.
I know that Congress is eager to pass an infrastructure bill, and I am eager to work with you on legislation to deliver new and important infrastructure investment including investments in the cutting-edge industries of the future. This is not an option. This is a necessity. The next major priority for me and for all of us should be to lower the cost of health care and prescription drugs and to protect patients with pre-existing conditions.
And that should be true. That should, I've got no issue with that.
Already as a result of my administration's efforts in 2018, drug prices experienced their single largest decline in 46 years.
About time. I think we can all agree on that.
But we must do more. It's unacceptable that Americans pay vastly more than people in other countries for the exact same drugs, often made in the exact same place. This is wrong, this is unfair, and together we will stop it, and we'll stop it fast.
There you go. I've been saying that for decades now.
I am asking Congress to pass legislation that finally takes on the problem of global freeloading and delivers fairness and price transparency for American patients, finally.
Yes. Well, Mitch McConnell's not clapping because that means his pharmaceutical buddies are in trouble.
We should also require drug companies, insurance companies, and hospitals to disclose real prices to foster competition and bring costs way down.
Yep. I am 100% in agreement with that. You should be also.
No force in history has done more to advance the human condition than American freedom. In recent years,
there's the Democrats who are sitting on their hands. Except, well, Steny Hoyer, he was standing.
We have made remarkable progress in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Scientific breakthroughs have brought a once distant dream within reach. My budget will ask Democrats and Republicans to make the needed commitment to eliminate the HIV epidemic in the United States within 10 years. We have made incredible strides, incredible. Together, we will defeat AIDS in America and beyond. Tonight, I am also asking you to join me in another fight that all Americans can get behind, the fight against childhood cancer. Joining Melania in the gallery this evening is a very brave 10-year-old girl, Grace Eline. Every birthday,
and she's as cute as she can be.
Hi, Grace. Every birthday since she was 4, Grace asked her friends to donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. She did not know that one day she might be a patient herself. That's what happened. Last year, Grace was diagnosed with brain cancer. Immediately, she began radiation treatment. At the same time, she rallied her community and raised more than $40,000 for the fight against cancer. When Grace completed treatment last fall, her doctors and nurses cheered. They loved her. They still love her. With tears in their eyes as she hung up a poster that read, "Last day of chemo." Thank you very much, Grace. You are a great inspiration to everyone in this room. Thank you very much. Many childhood cancers have not seen new therapies in decades. My budget will ask Congress for $500 million over the next 10 years to fund this critical life-saving research. To help support working parents, the time has come to pass school choice for Americans' children.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the Democrats hate that. You know that's true. Oh yeah, they hate it.
I am also proud to be the first president to include in my budget a plan for nationwide paid family leave so that every new parent has the chance to bond with their newborn child.
Yes. I think that's fair. Even Schumer's clapping, that creepy-looking clown.
To the beautiful image of a mother holding her infant child than the chilling displays our nation saw in recent days. Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in a mother's womb.
They just showed Schumer, and he looks like the creepy clown pervert. He's just disgusting. Needless to say, none of the Democrats are applauding this at all.
Let us work together to build a culture that cherishes innocent life.
Yes.
And let us reaffirm a fundamental truth. All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God. The final part of my agenda is to protect American security. Over the last 2 years, we have begun to fully rebuild the United States military with $700 billion last year and $716 billion this year. We are also getting other nations to pay their fair share. Finally.
Yes, finally. Unbelievable that it's taken this long for it to happen.
For years, the United States was being treated very unfairly by friends of ours, members of NATO. But now we have secured, over the last couple of years, more than $100 billion of increase in defense spending from our NATO allies. They said
Long overdue. Long overdue. Long overdue. I think we can all agree on that.
As part of our military buildup, the United States is developing a state-of-the-art missile defense system. Under my administration, we will never apologize for advancing America's interests. For example, decades ago, the United States entered into a treaty with Russia in which we agreed to limit and reduce our missile capability. While we followed the agreement and the rules to the letter, Russia repeatedly violated its terms.
No, say it ain't
It's been
so.
going on for many years. That is why I announced that the United States is officially withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty.
Yes.
Perhaps we really have no choice. Perhaps we can negotiate a different agreement, adding China and others, or perhaps we can't, in which case we will outspend and out-innovate all others by far.
Have no choice. Shades of Ronald Reagan.
As part of a bold new diplomacy, we continue our historic push for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Our hostages have come home. Nuclear testing has stopped, and there has not been a missile launch in more than 15 months. If I had not been elected President of the United States,
This is going to be
we
true,
would
people.
right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea.
Oh, the bug-eyed zombies look like what?
Much work
She's the one
remains
that-
to be done,
Yeah, she's a fool.
but my relationship with Kim Jong-un is a good one. Chairman Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam.
Oh. Return of Americans to Vietnam.
2 weeks ago, the United States officially recognized the legitimate government of Venezuela and its new president, Juan Guaido. We stand with the Venezuelan people in their noble quest for freedom, and we condemn the brutality of the Maduro regime, whose socialist policies have turned that nation from being the wealthiest in South America into a state of abject poverty and despair.
It's true. Where's the hyphen? Show the hyphen.
Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country.
Yes.
America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free.
Yes, there you go. Where's the hyphen? Show the hyphen. Oh, Bernie Sanders sitting there. He can't figure it out. He's lost.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Well, we know that. But there's, to be true, to be fair, there are certain aspects of socialism already in our country. And of course the Democrats are all sitting on their hands. Fools.
One of the most complex set of challenges we face, and have for many years, is in the Middle East. Our approach is based on principle realism, not discredited theories that have failed for decades to yield progress. For this reason, my administration recognized the true capital of Israel and proudly opened the American embassy in Jerusalem.
Yes, that was a good move. See, Ivanka is sporting a new hairdo.
Our brave troops have now been fighting in the Middle East for almost 19 years. In Afghanistan and Iraq, nearly 7,000 American heroes have given their lives.
That's far
More
too
than
many.
52,000 Americans have been badly wounded. We have spent more than $7 trillion in fighting wars in the Middle East. As a candidate for president, I loudly pledged a new approach. Great nations do not fight endless wars.
That's right. Can't afford it. Material, men, money, no more.
When I took office, ISIS controlled more than 20,000 square miles in Iraq and Syria just 2 years ago. Today, we have liberated virtually all of the territory from the grip of these bloodthirsty monsters. Now, as we work with our allies to destroy the remnants of ISIS, it is time to give our brave warriors in Syria a warm welcome home. I have also accelerated our negotiations to reach, if possible, a political settlement in Afghanistan. The opposing side is also very happy to be negotiating. Our troops have fought with unmatched valor, and thanks to their bravery, we are now able to pursue a possible political solution to this long and bloody conflict.
It's time to bring them home.
In Afghanistan, my administration is holding constructive talks with a number of Afghan groups, including the Taliban. As we make progress in these negotiations, we will be able to reduce our troops' presence and focus on counterterrorism, and we will indeed focus on counterterrorism. We do not know whether we'll achieve an agreement, but we do know that after 2 decades of war, the hour has come to at least try for peace, and the other side would like to do the same thing. It's time.
Well, goodness, the Democrats hate that idea too. So now we got the Democrats wanting war after they bitch about
Above all,
the war to
friend
begin
and foe
with.
alike must never doubt this nation's power and will to defend our people. 18 years ago, violent terrorists attacked the USS Cole, and last month, American forces killed one of the leaders of that attack.
Good. Excellent. Very good.
We are honored to be joined tonight by Tom Wibberley, whose son, Navy seaman Craig Wibberley, was one of the 17 sailors we tragically lost. Tom, we vow to always remember the heroes of the USS Cole. Thank you, Tom. My administration has acted decisively to confront the world's leading state sponsor of terror, the radical regime in Iran. It is a radical regime. They do bad, bad things. To ensure this corrupt dictatorship never acquires nuclear weapons, I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal.
Good. That was the right thing to do. The absolute right thing to do.
And last fall, we put in place the toughest sanctions ever imposed by us on a country. We will not avert our eyes from a regime that chants death to America and threatens genocide against the Jewish people.
I've always said, slip the leash off Israel and they'll take care of themselves.
We must never ignore the vile poison of anti-Semitism or those who spread its venomous creed. With one voice, we must confront this hatred anywhere and everywhere it occurs. Just months ago, 11 Jewish Americans were viciously murdered in an anti-Semitic attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. SWAT officer Timothy Matson raced into the gunfire and was shot 7 times chasing down the killer, and he was very successful. Timothy has just had his 12th surgery, and he's going in for many more. But he made the trip to be here with us tonight. Officer Matson, please.
No, I mean, the Democrats actually got off their butts to sit there and applaud law enforcement? Say it ain't so, but it is.
Thank you. We are forever grateful. Thank you very much. Tonight, we are also joined by Pittsburgh survivor, Judah Samet. He arrived at the synagogue as the massacre began. But not only did Judah narrowly escape death last fall, more than 7 decades ago, he narrowly survived the Nazi concentration camps. Today is Judah's 81st birthday.
Well, talk about living a charmed life. I wonder what it's like to have 535 clowns sing happy birthday to you.
They wouldn't do that for me, Judah. Judah says he can still remember the exact moment nearly 75 years ago, after 10 months in a concentration camp, when he and his family were put on a train and told they were going to another camp. Suddenly, the train screeched to a very strong halt. A soldier appeared. Judah's family braced for the absolute worst. Then his father cried out with joy, "It's the Americans, it's the Americans."
It's the Americans.
Thank you. A second Holocaust survivor who was here tonight, Joshua Kaufman, was a prisoner at Dachau. He remembers watching through a hole in the wall of a cattle car as American soldiers rolled in with tanks. To me, Joshua recalls, the American soldiers were proof that God exists, and they came down from the sky, they came down from heaven. I began this evening by honoring 3 soldiers who fought on D-Day in the Second World War. One of them was Herman Zaitchik. But there is more to Herman's story. A year after he stormed the beaches of Normandy, Herman was one of the American soldiers who helped liberate Dachau. He was one of the Americans who helped rescue Joshua from that hell on earth. Almost 75 years later, Herman and Joshua are both together in the gallery tonight, seated side by side, here in the home of American freedom. Herman and Joshua, your presence this evening is very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Perhaps he should have said that your presence honors us.
Thank you. When American soldiers set out beneath the dark skies over the English Channel in the early hours of D-Day 1944, they were just young men of 18 and 19 hurtling on fragile landing craft toward the most momentous battle in the history of war. They did not know if they would survive the hour. They did not know if they would grow old, but they knew that America had to prevail. Their cause was this nation and generations yet unborn. Why did they do it? They did it for America. They did it for us. Everything that has come since our triumph over communism, our giant leaps of science and discovery, our unrivaled progress towards equality and justice, all of it is possible thanks to the blood and tears and courage and vision of the Americans who came before. Think of this Capitol. Think of this very chamber where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways, and defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, and to face down evil empires. Here tonight, we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy woods of Wisconsin and the red deserts of Arizona, from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California. Together we represent the most extraordinary nation in all of history. What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? I ask the men and women of this Congress, look at the opportunities before us. Our most thrilling achievements are still ahead. Our most exciting journeys still await. Our biggest victories are still to come. We have not yet begun to dream. We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to reignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights on the brightest star. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and memory that link us together as citizens, as neighbors, as patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. I am asking you to choose greatness. No matter the trials we face, no matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together. We must keep America first in our hearts We must keep freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Well, there it is. Let's get some of the technicals out of the way here.
And
too
there
bad
you
they.
have it. Handshakes for Vice President Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. President Trump in a speech that was just a tad longer than last year, about an hour and 22 minutes. It started with a look back at American history as we enter the 75th anniversary of D-Day and the 50th anniversary of men landing on the moon. Then the speech circled back there in some very moving moments with World War II soldiers at the end, which we'll talk more about in a moment. The president also spoke of the next chapter of this great American adventure, as he called it, saying that we must create a new standard of living for the 21st century. He called for stronger families, deeper faith, and greater prosperity. He also heralded some of the economic successes as he sees them of his administration over the past year, saying, quote, "We are just getting started." He then segued into what he hopes can be a bipartisan action on the border. Democrats have slammed the wall, saying that it's un-American. He, in this speech, defined the battle in class terms, really, saying there is no issue that better illustrates the divide between Americans, working class, and America's political class.
You know what? And they're right. I was wondering how many times he was interrupted with ovations. Waiting to get that information right now.
And depleted safety net, said the president. He also made a point tonight to talk about the foolish wars that he has seen the country engaged in. Also talked to.
And I do agree that we have to. It's time to bring the troops home. Those people that want to fight for their freedom, by God, arm them to the teeth. But no more American soldiers. No more. Bring them home. That's just my opinion.
Had this sort of back and forth rep between the women wearing white outfits, the Democrats in Congress who at times sat on their hands during some interesting moments. But we did see a round of applause when the president said that America will never be a socialist nation. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, the senator and the Speaker of the House, both got up in unison to agree that America should never be a socialist country.
It was quite something. Let's just listen in for a second, see if we can hear some of these conversations. Thanks. President Trump facing this divided Congress for the first time of his presidency. Saying America expects Washington to govern, not as two parties, but as one nation. He spoke as obviously another government shutdown deadline looms closer. He spent a good part of his speech as
All right. You've heard the speech. Tell me what you think. I'm just curious. This has been what I like to call a special edition of the Jeffers Brief. And I thought I'd throw in my useless comments, because maybe what I'm saying is what you're thinking also, or at least along those lines. I'd hope so. All right, then. I'm going to sign it off here. This will not be broadcast on KYAH. This is just going to be a simple podcast. All right. I want to thank you for listening in. I appreciate it. Maybe next time we'll get some more callers in. I tried to get Mr. Lehman in, but it just was not working right, and I hate to do that. But we'll work on those technical aspects and get it together very shortly. Until then, thank you. I'm John Jeffers here on the Contra Radio Network, on the Jeffers Brief. I'm the founder, host, and executive producer here at CRN. I want to say thank you again for taking some time out of your day, your productive day, to listen to what we have to say. Until next week, I'm John Jeffers. Have a good night.